Do you know what's coming up at the Madison Symphony Orchestra? Limited tickets remain for their special MSO at the Movies live performances of Star Wars: A New Hope on February 22nd and 23rd. It's the Overture Concert Organ's 20th season, and it continues with the return of operatic tenor Limmy Pulliam. And the final forte is happening on March 5th, a free and open to the public event. Check out the upcoming events at the Madison Symphony at madisonsymphony.org/calendar. Today on CityCast Madison. It's Thursday, so of course we're dishing on Madison's food scene. It's been a rough season for respiratory illnesses, y'all. According to UW Health, they've seen an unusually high spike in flu cases over the past month. And in a similar realm, a new strain of the foodborne norovirus has been making the rounds. So, when you're down and out from sickness, what do you eat? Our friend Lindsay Christians, food editor at the Cap Times, gave us her best easy sick day eat recommendations, plus cooking advice for how to avoid foodborne illness. It's Thursday, February 20th. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about. Hello, Lindsay.
Hello.
Welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I have been sick recently, like within the past few weeks, but I'm feeling a lot better.
Well, this is a great conversation to have you then. I feel like many people can relate. It's been hitting. Apparently, this shouldn't be a secret that the flu is making its rounds this season more than once. Have you been hit by the flu?
I didn't get the flu. I got one of those, I think of it as like my annual Christmas cold, you know?
Yep. Made it to the end of the year.
Right. I get it like right after Christmas. And it's one of those where like, especially now, it's like, is it a cold? Is it COVID? If it's a cold, does that change my behavior? Like, can I go to yoga with a cold but not with COVID kind of thing? Which, no, like, you know, because you can't really either. And I don't know, it's one of those things where I always want to blame the little kids, but I'm pretty confident that my dad gave me this one. Thanks, Dad.
It's like the game we're all playing. It's like, who done it? Where did this originate? You know, when I'm sick, it's a struggle to get out of bed and even like make a cup of tea. But then at the same time, it's super important to keep yourself hydrated and fed when your body is fighting toxins and germs. Do you have like go-to drinks or meals when illness takes hold?
I think that the pro move, the go-to move, like for all winter, just in general, but also for when you're sick, is just having frozen food banked. So yeah, so I have like stuff from Pasture and Plenty that I have. They have those like lovely freezer meals. Alimentari is going to have them too, which I think is great. So you can have like a lasagna that's like just hanging out down there. I love that. And like the Wisconsin soups, I think I've talked about them before, but they are fantastic. I've started doing this thing where, because I don't really use a microwave, our microwave's in our basement and really inconvenient. So I will bring it up the day before or a couple of days before and I let them thaw in the fridge and they heat up super fast in the stove, which is great.
Can you remind us about the Wisconsin soups? I remember us talking about it.
I'm obsessed with these things. So basically, Wisconsin Soup started as like a farmer's market brand in the Milwaukee area and then has expanded. You can find them at the Northside Co-op. You can find them at Woodman's. They're in the organic section. And I don't know that they're all organic. I mean, they might be, but they're in the organic section, which is very hard to find if you're looking for them in Woodman's. Like pro tip.
Pro tip.
Yeah, but they're really good. My favorites are the carrot ginger. They do a red pepper Gouda. They have a tomato bisque, which I absolutely love. There's a wild mushroom barley that will make you gassy, but it's delicious. They have a chicken noodle soup, which is great, especially if you're ill. The broccoli cheddar is super good. I have like ordered the large format. Like during the pandemic, I was like ordering them the bigger sizes because they make like quart sizes, but these are like just a single like 12-ounce serving. So you can just heat up one soup for yourself, which is really nice. I really love those. I have to say, like, oftentimes when I'm sick, I have to cancel like the dinner things that I had planned because I eat out a lot as part of my job and my life. So one of the last times, I think it was the first time I had COVID, which is like a year and a half ago now, 2023, my friend went to this like beautiful like vegan dinner. And it was all this great. And she like brought me the dessert back. as like a gesture of love.
Aw, that's a good friend. Leaving it on the steps.
Yeah, leaving it on the steps and like waving from afar with her mask on. And I was like, woo. But it was so sweet. So I think actually one of the things that I always like to recommend for food when you're sick is like tell your people and they will bring you yummy things.
That's lovely. And like, it's like the most sincere type of love. Food truly is one of those loving things.
The thing that I used to always have when we were sick as kids was apricot nectar, which is kind of random, but it means that like I can't have apricot nectar as an adult because I associate it with being sick as a kid.
Apricot nectar. Yeah, that one's new for me.
Right? I don't know why my mom got on that, but like she got into that. I really like those like naked juice smoothie things that they have in the fridge sections. Those are great to just sort of like replenish all of your electrolytes. But here's the thing. It's pretty rare for me to order a takeout. I don't do a lot of takeout or delivery because I love to cook. And so if it's an opportunity for me to cook, I'm probably going to do that rather than order takeout. But that means like when you're sick at home and you just need something extremely simple and I can't cook like a full meal because I'm dead on my feet, I do the Melissa Clark omelet. And so what you do is you start some rice in your rice cooker. Everybody should have a rice cooker because they're incredible. Start rice in your rice cooker. It will do its thing. Whisk together eggs, a little bit of sugar, a little soy sauce, mirin if you have it. Don't worry about it if you don't. And like a tiny pinch of salt. Whisk that all together. Cook it in a nonstick pan so it like will pull up and like you can kind of fold it over into like this little omelet. And then put that on the rice with anything green you have. The recipe calls for edamame, but I usually have like scallions or spinach or just anything I have green that's around because I haven't shopped probably, right, because I'm sick. And like I'll sprinkle it with some furikake, which is like that seaweed, dried seaweed blend that they have at the Asian market. It's really good. And I will eat that like every day that I am sick because it's incredibly simple. It's just eggs on rice, right? It's a little sweet. Melissa Clark calls it like a kid meal. Like her kids really like it. And I'm like, it's me when I'm sick meal.
It's me.
Yes, exactly.
That sounds really good. And also here you are being Lindsay Wonder Woman as normal. You're still going to get some cooking done even when you're like dying.
It's so simple. I promise you it's very, very easy. It is the kind of thing that you do like after the worst has passed though. Like if you're just laying there. But that's something where you're going to get like a little bit of sweetness and saltiness and protein. And the rice, like I eat a lot of rice when I'm sick because it's like dump rice, dump water, cook, and then put a little salt and butter in it and it's done.
Yeah, there is an ease to it and it is just tasty.
Yes.
Well, I love that recommendation. I make eggs pretty much every day. I mean, the prices are up, so it's thinking about getting chickens over here. And speaking of chicken, of course, there's like chicken noodle soup has been the go-to for healing illness for generations and for a good reason. Great source of vitamins, proteins, fluids, and electrolytes, which can really, help ease symptoms when you're in the depths. Do you mess with chicken noodle soup? Like, do you have any tips and tricks if you do for cooking a great chicken soup?
Yes. So I like to make this. I want to say like having chicken noodle soup is the kind of thing that you want on hand or you want to make for a friend who's sick, right? I don't know that you want to like make it yourself when you're actually ill because it's
Right.
It's a process. But I like to cut a couple of corners. I don't cut the rotisserie chicken corner, although people can. You can like just totally get a rotisserie chicken and throw that bad boy in there.
Guilty.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
I've done it.
I cook a lot of chicken because my husband's very into chicken, so I usually have bones. But I think I make broth every winter. But shortcuts. Meat People and Conscious Carnivore, I think both have bone broth. They have like a chicken and pork blend or just chicken broth.
Great butchers in town.
Yeah. They're great. But I always also have Better Than Bouillon, which is like a paste that you have in your fridge, right?
Yeah.
I have roasted chicken kind. I have vegetable, shrimp, beef. I have like all the different bouillons for different things, and I use them constantly. That's a great like base of a broth, and it's better, I would argue, than the boxes of broth, which to me can get a little too salty, and some of them just like taste like carrots, and you're like, well, carrots are good, but like it's kind of a lot.
I'm glad you're mentioning this because I've definitely been in the biggest soup season of my entire life and frankly have been getting the boxes, but then adding the bouillon.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just like, actually, why am I even buying these boxes?
Yeah, don't buy the boxes. The bouillon is so much better. And I used to measure it like really carefully and now I just stick my whisk in there, grab some, and and whisk it up because it's easy. I really like playing around with so my mom would do like chicken and rice, but I really like those tortellini, like those packaged tortellini. They're like little stuffed pastas that you put in your chicken noodle soup. So good.
That's a level up. That's a level up.
Yeah. There's a good recipe from Caroline Chambers. It's like a lemon spinach chicken tortellini noodle soup, and it's really good.
Oh, I just love tortellini. So yeah, throwing it in the soup is like Master Chef sort of situation. My go-to thought, and apparently someone who's been on the show, I don't remember who it was, but they told the producer was like, they're like, oh, Bianca, I liked her. She's kind of a hippie because he was sick when he came on the show. And I was like, don't forget your garlic and ginger. I get kind of militant about it when I'm sick. You know, I actually was told you take like a clove of garlic and you smash it up and you like swallow it like medicine. Have you ever heard that?
I mean, I've heard that, but like how's that to eat?
It's not good. You don't want to chew it. You just throw it to throw it back and then water. You literally take it like it's medicine. Don't do too much, and like it can be like rough on your stomach if you go too ham. But look, garlic is one of those superpower house creatures. And so, I mean, for those of you who actually like to cook and not be crazy and just throw back garlic like it's medicine, how about cooking with garlic and ginger? They're both incredible superfoods.
I do that almost every day just as part of my life because they're delicious. My pro tip though with ginger is go to the Asian market and get like a bunch of it, like a big ginger, and then chop it up into like...
Which one?
So I really like Viet Hoa.
Over in Monona. Great one.
Yeah. That's the one that's close to me. I mean, I love there's a bunch of Yua is great. I've been to all of them just depending on what part of town I'm in, but Viet Hoa is the one I go to the most because it's close by. Global Market has like this kind of stuff too out on the Far East Side. Like soupy, brothy things too. Like they've got pho and ramen and stuff out there, which is delicious. But I take a big thing of ginger, like a big old thing of ginger, and you chop it up into like 2-inch-ish knobs for however much like you're typically going to use, right? And then you freeze it. So I've just got a big old bag of frozen ginger.
Do you skin it first or do you leave the skin on?
You leave the skin on because when you pull it out of the freezer, the skin just like pulls right off.
Oh. Nice.
It's nice. I used it recently. I was doing a miso carrot dressing from Julia Turshen's book, What Goes with What. You just throw like chunks of carrot and ginger and white miso and rice vinegar and I think some sesame oil, and you just zhuzh it in your blender. And it's the best dressing. It's so good.
That sounds really, really lovely.
It was really delicious. I made it twice recently, and I've just been putting it on everything. But just ginger like that, I think there's a little honey in there too, so it sort of like calms the ginger down. And honey is also supposed to be really good for you in like a hot toddy or things like that. I'll put it in chai. But that's how I like to use ginger. And then for garlic and ginger, together, just do a curry or stir fry. I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I do a lot of tofu curries because I'm just sort of like, I just got to change it up, here and there. Get some different proteins in there. Yeah.
I think tofu can get slept on too. It can really bring its own sort of vibe to the party when it comes to curries.
Totally. And there are so many good like sauces. Like Madame Chu has like these wonderful sauces and they're already made for you. And so just, you could throw your tofu and your veggies and she already made the sauce. Simple.
What sort of promises have you made to yourself this year? Maybe get in better shape or eat healthier, save more money, travel somewhere new. What about discovering a new culture by learning a new language? With Babbel, you can do that in just a few weeks. I'm CityCast CEO David Plotz, and I'm having such a good time learning Spanish on Babbel this year. I'm taking a trip to Mexico City in the spring, and Babbel is giving me the Spanish foundation that's going to make my trip so much better. Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons, handcrafted by more than 200 language experts, get you to begin speaking your new language in 3 weeks, or at whatever pace you choose. And because conversing is the key to really understanding each other in a new language, Babbel is designed using practical, real-world conversations. And one way they do that is with their own podcasts. I'm a podcast listener. I'm guessing since you're listening to this podcast, you are too. And I have been getting ready for my Mexico City trip by listening to Babbel's conversational podcasts. There's a short conversation you listen to, then an instructor talks you through what happened. And then you listen again, and then you catch everything when you listen that second time. There's also a great read-along transcript, too, which I love. The one I did today was with Maria and Carmela trying to make dinner plans, but Carmela is so busy. She's way too busy with work and yoga, but finally they agreed on brunch on Saturday. Studies from Yale, Michigan State, and other universities continue to prove that Babbel works. One study found that using Babbel for 15 hours is equivalent to a full semester at college. So let's get more of you talking in a new language. Babbel is gifting CityCast listeners 60% off subscriptions at babbel.com/CityCast. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/CityCast. Spelled BABBEL.com/CityCast. Babbel.com/CityCast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Hey, Fidelity. What's it cost to invest with the Fidelity app?
Start with as little as $1 with no account fees or trade commissions on U.S. stocks and ETFs.
That's music to my ears.
I can only talk.
Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Zero account fees apply to retail brokerage accounts only. Sell order assessment fee not included. A limited number of ETFs are subject to a transaction-based service fee of $100. See full list at fidelity.com/commissions. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE SIPC.
While we're on the topic of ginger, you started out the conversation mentioning yoga. I don't know if you've done yoga with Adrienne, the hit YouTube yoga instructor that everyone loves because she's awesome. I watched a video from her probably 7 years ago about making yogi tea, and I've been making it for years now. It's something that you can make in batch and make larger quantities. So when you get sick, you can be ready, but also it's something to help you not get sick in the first place. It's got all of these powerhouses. So just like cutting ginger and then cardamom, black pepper, cinnamon sticks, all of these goodies, and then like black tea or green tea, whatever you want to make it with. And then, adding honey because that helps suppress coughs and all kinds of stuff like that.
I have been drinking a lot of tea from Teleson Tea out of Mount Horeb. I ran into them like a year ago at they have like the Madison Herb Fair, the Midwest Herb Fair over at Old Brick. And she was sampling teas, and they have a chai, but they also have an herbal chai. So it's all that stuff that's in chai. So like cardamom and the ginger and the, like the kind of spices that are in chai, but it's caffeine free. So they have a chai too, which is really cool. I drink a lot of tea every day. I drink even more when I'm sick. They have one called Bliss, which is chamomile, lavender, and catnip. Very cool. I am also like fully obsessed with reishi, which is based out of Milwaukee. I've been trying to drink my teas down so I can do a big reishi order. Hibiscus berry is my favorite, caffeine-free, but tangerine ginger, they have chai, English breakfast, oolong in the morning. There's one that they do called Valerian Dream, which is valerian root and cardamom and fennel and licorice.
Does that help you go to sleep, or am I being crazy?
Yeah, that's what it's for. It is great. It's delicious.
It's good for when you're sick. Get your butt to bed.
Yeah. I like that reishi you can get reishi packets at like Woodman's and the Co-op and stuff like that. Those are clearly the two places I shop the most. But you can find reishi all over Madison because they're a Wisconsin company. They're pretty available. I feel like having tea in a bag sometimes, even though like when I'm at home, I do mostly loose leaf. But having tea in a bag, like especially when I don't have a lot of energy, just make it as simple as possible, please.
Yes. Just simplify. Yeah. Yes.
There are some smaller local tea companies, like there's Tea Cider over in East Johnson, and there are some lovely places to get teas. And I am an all skate. I like tea from everywhere.
Well, we've been talking about great foods, great drinks. One thing we haven't mentioned as much in the food scene is leafy greens and like kale and citruses, because those are, heavyweight champs as well for fighting ailments. Do you have any good recipes that use those ingredients?
I do. So first, Josh McFadden, who's actually coming to Paola in early March, for the Frost and Flower series at 7 Acre. He wrote a cookbook called 6 Seasons. But before he did that, he had a viral kale salad. It's called the kale salad that started it all. And it was from Franny's, which I think is in Brooklyn. But he had this kale salad where basically you smash garlic with some salts and on your cutting board, and you basically do a dressing with it where it's lemon. I think it's lemon zest as well as lemon juice. It's like a crap ton of Parmesan. I usually put in toasted bread of some kind, So it's kind of Caesar-y, but it's not creamy. It doesn't have the anchovies. But it is, you massage the kale. You like julienne the kale and then you massage it for like 3 minutes.
That always makes it better.
Yeah, you can massage it just with oil if you want to, the olive oil, or you can do it with lemon juice and olive oil and it will break down faster. If you do it with lemon juice, you will find out how many little cuts you have on your hand. I've made it a million times, but it is a gateway to kale. And I use only the dinosaur, not the curly kale. I use the...
Love dino.
Yeah, the lacinato kale, caballonero.
Yes.
So that's really, really good. And I always recommend that. And I will kind of mess around with what I put in there. So like I'll throw like currants or dried cherries or cranberries in there. I will throw in like nuts or toasted pumpkin seeds. I just have a good time with it. And it's always so good. So
it sounds like a good time.
Yeah, I can eat like 2 like bunches of kale that way. Just straight up. Because it's really good. The other greens thing I wanted to mention is there is a greens soup. It's from Anna Thomas. You can use any kind of greens you've got. So chard, spinach, kale, any kind of combo of like those hearty greens. And you put some green onions, cilantro if you like cilantro. You put them in a big old soup pot with like 3 cups of water or so and a little bit of salt. You throw a potato in there and then you just simmer it. And while it's simmering, you caramelize some onions. Just cook some onions and fat, whatever you want, butter, olive oil. And then you add some garlic in there too. And then you put it all together and you buzz it with your immersion blender and you have a soup of greens. And it's so good. The potato prevents it from getting too salty and gives it a little bit of heft. And the caramelized onions give it that sweetness. It's such a good soup. It feels like life.
That sounds incredible. Also, immersion blenders are like a good thing to get if you don't have one. You can get them on like Black Friday or I don't know, like on sale. They're not that expensive if you don't have one of them. Just feel like noting that.
I broke my first one and held it together with duct tape for a long time.
Oh
And I was
God.
like, no. I broke it so fast. Like, have I broken 2? I think I might have broken 2. Anyway.
I guess that is a bummer. So don't listen to me. Don't get it on the cheap.
Or just be nicer to it, I guess. Yeah. Be kinder to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so here's something. So we're talking about cooking and sickness in our area right now. Madison was dealing with a bout of norovirus, yikes, which can lead to a pretty upset stomach. I'm just going to leave it at that. It's a foodborne illness. It can be really contagious and spread quickly. So when it comes to prepping food and keeping yourself safe on that end, what tips do you have, if any, for folks?
Oh my gosh, I have so many. So I'm going to go through really quickly here. So my first thing is date everything. When you're putting leftovers into your fridge, put a little label on it that says when you put it in there. It's a tip that people in kitchens do all the time without even thinking about it, right? You date everything. If it's been in there for longer in the week than a week, throw it out. If it like smells and looks weird too, throw it out. But like things don't stay in there for longer than 7 days in my house, and it's usually 5. I'm not even playing. Like we're not going to mess around.
I'm with you, Lindsay.
Yeah. So label everything. This is something that I'm really glad that my husband has picked up. Treat your chicken like it's radioactive. Treat the chicken like it is like just a ball of salmonella. If your knife touches it, if your hands touch it, and then touch the faucet, it's radioactive. The chicken is radioactive. Anything it touches, assume it has salmonella. Just assume it does. Most of them do, right? So don't wash it. Don't like under this faucet because you're going to spread germs all over the place. Like don't wash your meat. But if anything that touches it, just be very careful.
So people who say like put it underwater, you're saying don't do that?
No.
So just cook it. The only fight against it is the heat.
Yeah, you got to cook it, which leads to temp things out. Get a thermometer. I think of 145 as bug death. It's when the things that are in the meat that will make you sick are die. If you're holding something at a higher temperature for a couple of minutes, that can be really helpful. So like if your broth has been in your fridge for a week and you're like, is this good? Like, I don't know, boil it and like keep it at a boil for a couple of minutes. That helps. It helps like make sure that you're not going to get sick from it. I will sometimes bring soup up to 160 just to be sure, right? But like thinking about keeping hot food hot and cold food cold, that's like a classic thing from anybody who's worked in service, right? But just making sure that you're washing your hands a lot, you're treating your chicken like it wants to kill you, because it does. It wants to make you sick. you know?
Lindsay, you are a gorgeous chef and just a powerhouse of a human being. We've been talking about powerhouse food. You cook for yourself when you're sick, these easier lifts, and love those. I'll be honest, I am so quick to call for delivery. I am so quick. I'm like, I'm sick and this is my self-care. Of course, it's not that much of a self-care for my budget. That said, it is what it is. If you don't have a partner or you don't have somebody, who can help cook for you, there is no shame in also ordering in, take care of yourself. I know my go-to when cooking is just out of the question. It's sunny pho. It's getting pho. It's very important to me. How about you?
I really like the noodles from La Lanzang on the east side. I like anything that's like sort of noodly and brothy, right? So, and I think this sort of touches on like what we've had before, but I like any time that I can get just something like just warm and soothing. For the most part, when I'm ordering out, we'll do something like pizza that travels pretty well. But I think, especially during the pandemic, there were places that were doing ramen that were figuring out how to do ramen. And now, like, you can get it where the noodles are separate and they tell you what to do. And you can, like, put the ramen together yourself, which is really nice. I also really love, like wonton soup and miso soup and those kinds of super brothy things. Those are always really nice.
Oh, man, this is gorgeous. Lindsay, you have the entire city of Madison covered for when they get sick. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I hope everybody stays healthy and gets healthy if you're not feeling well.
That's Lindsay Christians, food and culture editor at the Cap Times. If you want to make any of the recipes we shared in this episode, head to our show notes for links. That's all for today, here on CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin, your host. If you enjoyed the show, why not share this episode with someone who's under the weather? Hey, don't forget, it's not too late to get your flu shot. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Until then, eat well and try and stay healthy. Sometimes I have a little taste for egg drop soup.
Oh, yeah.